Okay, can anybody confirm whether I'm audible? I'll share the screen so that you can tell me. Okay, we are talking about the need of safety for the chemical handling. Okay, so we have seen this. We'll go into the next slide. Yeah. Now, also, what are the different types of chemical industries? So there are many types of chemical industries are in place. So if we talk about the specific types, before proceeding toward the general safety, it is essential to look on a variety of industries and to realize a very wide scope of subject. So we have to understand the different types of industries so that we can understand the depth of safety which is required. So if you see the different types, so what will be thousands of volumes are available on chemicals and their purposes, effects and control measures. If you see the variety of chemicals, there are thousands or I can say lakhs also, million lakhs of types of chemicals are there. Maybe it is including which are danger in nature or some of them which are minor, which have some of them are major in that. And their process effects and controls. But it is a fact that our out of the lakhs of chemicals, published data of their dangerous properties is available only for the thousands. If we here you can see the numbers are very high. Here we are telling the numbers are in thousands, but the information, sorry, the chemical types are lakhs, but the information availability of those chemicals are in thousands, which is a major risk for handling these industries. Therefore, most of the unknown chemicals must be handled very carefully, and this requires a basic knowledge of chemical safety. If you're dealing with any unknown chemical, you should think that, okay, this chemical may be a poisonous, this chemical may be a flammable, this chemical may be a explosive, this chemical may be a oxidizer, this chemical may be a radioactive. So we should think multiple sides while dealing with unknown chemicals. అంటే ఎప్పుడైనా మనము మనకి తెలియని కెమికల్స్ తో మనం డీల్ చేస్తున్నప్పుడు ఆ కెమికల్ ని అన్ని రకాల కెమికల్ తోని పోలుస్తూ దాన్ని మనం హ్యాండిల్ చేయాల్సి ఉంటుంది. This requires a basic knowledge of safety, and also the general knowledge is always useful for any of type of the chemical industry. And there are 27 dangerous operations and 29 hazardous industries and 31 notifiable occupational diseases. If you see in our Factories Act, there they have clearly defined 27 dangerous operations are there and 29 hazardous industries and 31 notifiable diseases. అంటే ఏంటంటే 27 రకాల మనకి డేంజరస్ ఆపరేషన్స్ ఉన్నాయి. అంటే ఏ యాక్టివిటీని మనం డేంజర్ అని చెప్తాం. సో విచ్ ఆర్ ద యాక్టివిటీస్ విచ్ ఫాల్ అండర్ దిస్ category. 29 hazardous industries. Hazardous industries means those industries, I can say activities or processes which are hazard in nature. Then notifiable occupational diseases. Notifiable occupational diseases means those are the diseases which are identified because of that those specific activities. అంటే ఏదైనా ఒక యాక్టివిటీ పర్ఫామ్ చేయటం వల్ల దాని ద్వారా వచ్చే రోగము, లేదు అంటే వ్యాధి, లేదంటే జబ్బు. దట్ ఈస్ ది ఆక్యుపేషనల్ డిసీజ్. వాట్ ఈస్ మీన్ బై ఆక్యుపేషన్? ఆక్యుపేషన్ అంటే వృత్తి, అంటే మనం పని చేసే పనిని మన వృత్తి అంటాము, ఆక్యుపేషన్ అంటాము. ఆక్యుపేషన్ డిసీజ్ అంటే అంటే మనం చేసే పని వల్ల మనకొచ్చే రోగం. The chemical industry is needing a more attention, or petroleum refineries or petroleum products industries or industries of basic heavy organic or organic chemicals, fertilizers, dye stuff, paint industry, solvents, LPG, acids, alkalis, pharmaceutical, etc., etc. There are whatever the chemical you name it, all this fall under this kind of category. Now we have to see the statutory provisions. What are the various statutory provisions, which is also called as the legal requirements which are applicable for this industries. If you see, the Factories Act contains a specific provision on chemical safety under section 2 and subsection 2CB. Defines the hazardous process. So if you want to check your industry which will fall under this hazardous process or not, you can see this definition. And another sections, which are section 7A and 7B, specifies the general duties of occupiers and manufacturers for health and safety. Okay, here they will define the what are the duties or roles and responsibilities of the occupier. Occupier means owner, అంటే వాళ్ళ యొక్క పని ఏంటి. Then section 220 regarding the cleanliness and disposal of waste and effluent. Okay, and ventilation, temperature, etc., drinking water. Another chapter 4, which is talking about section 21 to 41. It is about the completely safety chapter. So if you see, one is preliminary, first chapter, second chapter is inspection of staff, third chapter is occupational health or health, and fourth chapter is safety. So there you will have these sections 21 to 41, all these sections which will come under chapter 4. There you will talk about machine guarding, uh, hoist and lift, then inspections, pressure plant, floor, stairs, eye protection, excessive weights, floor openings, pits, portable electric lighting. All these things will come under section or chapter 4. So there is an other chapter which is 4A, which is dedicatedly for hazardous processes. So as per the section 2CB, if your process is not falling under hazardous process, this chapter 4A will be not applicable to you. Excuse me, which is regarding the hazardous process, provide the site appraisal committee. So there will be a site appraisal committee. The committee will be having different levels of people from Central Pollution Control Board to State Pollution Control Board and some other people which will be involving. So in this, what will happen? Disclosure of information of health and safety policy. That is the one. They have to inform the safety practices. Then medical examination, pre and post medical examination of the workers. And also they have to disclose workers' health records, supervision, emergency standards, and also the permissible limits of the toxic exposure, Then safety committee, they have to disclose the safety committee as well. Then duty to warn about the and also remove of imminent danger. So here we have to the section or the chapter 4A will talk about all these points. One is formation of site appraisal committee, then disclosure of information with respect to health and safety policies, medical examinations, supervision, emergency standards, and other controls. All these things has to be submitted. Now we'll see other requirements with respect to safety of this. Then there is another chapter which is 4. In this, you can see the subsections which will be it will have the subsections of 42 to 50. So that will be covering the welfare provisions of the workers. So how we can see the welfare provisions. So if you see the welfare provided by the facilities or clerk room, first aid facilities, ambulance, canteen, even rest and lunch room, creche facility, and also welfare officer, etc., etc. And there are other sections which are 87 to 91 regarding the dangerous operations like notice of accidents and diseases. So notice of accident means once any accident happens, it has to be communicated. So there we have talked about all this. When we talked about, there are two types of incident categories as per Factors Act. One is reportable, other one is non-reportable. The reportable accident means in case of any accident happens, it is supposed to be reported within 24 hours. Non-reportable means an incident happened. If the person came back to the office within 24 hours, that will be called under non-reportable. If it is reportable, what will happen? If the person is met with an accident, he is not able to report within 48 hours, that will be fall under reportable accident. To whom will report? The incident has to be reported to the inspector of factories. Okay. Yes. Then accidents, diseases, and sampling health surveys are also useful for section. And 41B, 41C, and 41H is the very severe, but also section 104, the burden of the proofs shifted on the person who fails in the fulfillment of duty under sections, etc. will be covered. Okay. Now we'll see what are the various Indian standards which are more focusing on this chemical safety. So here we're not going through such detail because it is just only numbers. Anyhow, I'll give this PPT so you can refer. So there are code of safety for acetic acid. It is 5208 or acetic anhydride 5302, etc., etc. You can refer this. Now we'll see what are the types of chemical hazards and their controls. Okay, one is the health, which is a toxic hazard. If you see the effects of this toxic hazard will be like an allergy, maybe one of the effect, irritation, oxygen deficiency or asphyxiation, and systemic poisoning, example, damage to the liver or kidney or CNS or reproductive system, cancer or damage to unborn fetus, etc. And how these factors, how it will be created. So the thing is, it depends on the type of concentration. So if somebody is affecting or affected by the chemical, the result will be differ from many aspects or many factors. For example, one is here they mentioned concentration of the chemical and also the combined effects and properties of the metal, which is including toxicity and work methods, nature of exposure, short term, long term, routes of entry, and also individual susceptibility, which means the individual strength or the healthiness of the person. All these will be matters for the factor of the creation of effect. If you are not healthy, you may affect more. If the concentration you have consumed more, then the effect will be different. If the property of the metal which is less toxic, then your effect will be lesser. Then fire and explosion hazard, heat generation due to the chemical reaction, open flames, radiant heat, friction or spontaneous combustion, electric current, static electricity, fuel or solvents like low flash points or low boiling points, etc. The gaseous solids, all these things comes under the fire and explosion hazards. Now we'll see other type of hazard. If you see, there is a other kind of hazard which is biological hazards. The biohazard refers to the plants or insects, animal and human pathogens that pose a potential risk to the health of the humans, animals, and also to the environment. And their ill effect is the illness through infection or disruption of the environment. And they can be unique to the specific occupation or may affect the generation, public as epidemic, etc. And the occupational exposure is possible by biolaboratories, worker, and also hospitals, nursing, medical research centers, farming, agriculture, slaughterhouses, meat cutting, and also packaging. So if you see a biohazard, we can have a classic example, COVID. That is a biolaboratory, one of the virus which is escaped from the biolaboratories, which is shaken the complete world. It is infected the complete world. That is a one kind of biohazard we can refer. Then it is a biological infections are parasitic or diseases caused by the contact with the domestic or laboratory or other animals. And occupation of such biohazards will be abattoirs or agriculture, animal attendance, bone and bone metal processing, batches or dairy, forestry, etc., etc. Wherever you are interacting with this animals or insects or meat or milk, the products which is have biological in nature, there you will be affecting with such hazards. So if you see how it can affect, so if you see in a bacterial skin infection, it will from the various areas, I can say animal breeders or handlers or farmers. Fungal will be from the bakers or breeders, canny workers or cooks. And parasitic skin infection will be agriculture, grain handlers or harvesters, etc. And these viral skin infections will be from dairy workers or dentists or medical practitioners and livestock handlers. Okay. Now we'll see how the diseases can be caused and who will be the how the agents will be working on it. If you see the diseases caused by the biological agents, there'll be anthrax or brucellosis. Anthrax you can see in the animals and brucellosis also. I think brucellosis people also will get affected because of if any animal which is having this brucellosis, if you have had that animal meat or if you had the milk from that animal, humans also will get this brucellosis. And cataract or erysipelosis, herpes and infections, hepatitis, leishmaniasis, leprosis, etc., etc. These are the various kinds of diseases you can get from the biological agents. And the biohazards can enter into body through inhalation, injection, or skin contact. And they and virulence of the organism and also individual's body resistance can decide whether or not a person may contact the disease. It depends on individual body resistance also. If your immune power is very high, so there you may less effect comparing with other person who is not having such immune power. Okay. Yeah. Now we'll see some of the safety control measures. So how these can be controlled by setting up of various controls in place. These are necessary to prevent health effects of toxic or highly infectious or organic bioagents, and a written control plan, including instructions for awareness and emergency action, safe procedure for handling of this first aid and reporting is useful, and the employees should be immune by an effective vaccine if available. And the vaccination is effective against the small pox and also tetanus, yellow fever, diarrhea, and also hepatitis B. And proper placement of medical surveillance are also important. So there are vaccinations for such kind of diseases. Even I can say polio. All these are the diseases which are spreading. Now we have identified the vaccinations for those kind of diseases. Now the population is very less affected with this polio. The similar way, we should take the proper control measures. Then atomic radiation hazard, which is radioactive substances like X-ray, NDT, nuclear power, etc. And preventive control measures, like there are six basic principles for the control. As I mentioned previously, hazard hierarchy control. So here it will be estimation or elimination of substance or process which is hazardous, substitution of safer alternative, distance guard or enclosure or isolation, and ventilation, general and local exhaust ventilations, and personal protective equipment, PPE, and also personal hygiene. There is an additional control which is personal hygiene, which means how healthy you are, how you are separating or segregating yourself from the process. Okay. Then emergency control, which is speedy leak and also spill control procedures, and also emergency shutdown procedure, on-site emergency plans and off-site emergency plans, uh, manual aid of arrangements, and written error narratives, like in case of any emergency, how you can retain or how you can contain the hazard. Then regular rehearsals of emergency procedures like mock drills and fire drills, and updating and reviewing the plans in case of any chemicals which you have increased in your company. So on those chemicals also we have to do the mock drills and fire drills. These are the various emergency control measures we can take up so that we can avoid the exposure. Now we'll see the chemicals classification, how these chemicals are classified, and which means segregated. According to their physical state, they are solid, liquid, or gases, fine particles or solid like powder, dust, fumes, and smoke are called as particulate matter. And their suspension in air and also gas also exist like liquids or classified as acid or alkali solvents, and suspension, liquid, mixture, or aerosols, etc. It means based on the physical state. అంటే దాని యొక్క ఆకృతిని బట్టి అది వాటర్ అవ్వచ్చు, ఘన పదార్థం అవ్వచ్చు, వాయు రూపంలో ఉండొచ్చు. And noxious gases will be irritant gases, which are Cl2 or chlorine, I think NH3, SO2, sulfur dioxide or nitrous oxide, etc. And systemic poisons or hydrocarbons, etc., etc. These are the various types of chemicals. Then biological agents, which is virus, bacteria, fungi, parasites, and also plant-based products. Then corrosive chemicals, which are amyl tetrachlorine or anisole which are having corrosive in nature. And oxidizing agents. So you have to understand what is meant by oxidizing. So oxidizing means whenever a particular chemical, and I can say an oxidizing chemical, which is involved in the reaction where it will produce the oxygen. So these oxidizing chemicals are not supposed to be stored close to the flammable materials, because if this flammable material involves in fire accident, this chemical also get interact here. It will produce more oxygen, it will give more booster to the fire to ignite more. So we should not store oxidizing chemicals and flammables in one place. Carcinogens, which are asbestosis, acrylamines, or anilines. So these are the carcinogens means which will resulting in cancer. So if you are exposing to such kind of chemicals, what will happen? You may get effect of cancer in over a period of time. Now we'll see the MSDS. We are talking about a material safety data sheet. In this, you can see the chemical identity, physical and chemical data. Chemical identity will be in which company it has been manufactured, what is the formula, trade name, and classification, CAS number, UN number, etc. In the physical and chemical data, there you can see the vapor density, specific gravity, then boiling point, pH, solubility in water or not, etc. we can see. Then fire and explosion data. There you can see the flash point of the chemical or auto ignition temperature and flammable limits, LEL, UEL. Here you have to understand lower explosive limit and upper explosive limit. So if I say lower explosive limit, upper explosive limit, lower I can keep it as 3, upper I can keep it as 10. So if the chemical will burn in between these ranges, if the LEL of the chemical below 3, it will not burn. If above 10, it will not burn. So within the range, only it will burn. That is called flammable range or limit. Okay. Another TDG flammability, I'm not exactly recall out exactly this TDG. We'll see in next class. then explosion sensitivity, explosive materials, flammable materials, etc. All this will be covered under fire and explosion hazard. Then reactivity, which is chemical stability, incompatibility, or reactivity. It may be react with the chemicals if they come across or which is stored close by. Then health hazards, which is TLV, threshold limit value, and STL, short-term exposure limit, and LC50 and LD50. LC means lethal concentration. LD means lethal dose. So LC50 means basically they use this concentration for the testing of laboratory animals. So if they give a certain dose to the animals, for example, they've given 1 ml of chemical to the 10 animals. So out of 10 animals, if 50% of animals got died, so that is LC50. And even LD50 also same. The why the C and why the D. C is the concentration, which means it is in the atmosphere. D means dosage, which is directly injected to your body. Either they'll give it in the feed or they will inject. Concentration means the concentration in the atmosphere, means it is in the air. Need not to directly inject to or need not to feed the animal. If you are putting in the one closed enclosure, you are putting the animals there and you are polluting that atmosphere with the chemical. So if the animals are exposed to that concentration, if they die, the 50% population, that will be called as LC50. Then order threshold, etc., will be fall under this. Then preventive measures like ventilation types and also emergency measures and additional information and manufacturing supplier. And from this, there are disposal data also will be there. So what we do is in next class, we will try to have one detailed take the MSDS and we will discuss on in each point so that you will understand better. So what kind of data will be covered in the MSDS. Okay. We have done with the today's class. If you have, we have another 5 minutes. If you have any questions, we can discuss. Okay, fine. If no questions, we'll wind up the session for today and we'll meet in the next class. Thank you. Thank you so much.